The story South Florida has been talking about, and actually the rest of the nation as well. Last night, I called Congressman-elect Allen West, and I told him I would not be able to accept the position of Chief of Staff for Congressional District 22. It has been an incredible journey, getting to watch this extraordinary American hero touch the hearts and the minds of the voters here in South Florida and all across the country, really. I'm confident that he will be an excellent representative and will remain a close friend. I am proud of his decisive victory on November 2nd, but I will not be complicit in this effort to diminish his stature by attacks against me or endanger myself and others by serving as his chief. As for my plans, they remain what they have always been. I will stand up and speak my mind with conviction and resolve. I will not stop believing that whatever you dream, you can achieve, and I will not allow myself to be defined by others. I return to my program on 850 WFTL. And as I have always believed, I'm in God's hands. God bless Congressman-elect Allen West, and God bless the United States of America. But I will not, and here's where the statement ends, and here's where Joyce begins. I will not be used in an electronic lynching by proxy. The insanity of using a Hispanic woman to lynch a black American Army hero elected to Congress, lynching by proxy. What they're trying to do is bring down Congressman-elect Allen West. And they're not fooling me. And they're certainly not fooling you. They are vile. They could care less that an election was won fair and square. They're bitter. He is going to be under perpetual attack. This is today's attack or yesterday's attack, and there will be more attacks in his future. And you know, he and I knew that. And that was one of the reasons why he thought I'd make a great chief of staff. Because I told him, they're going to come after you. You're going to need a close friend. You're going to need somebody who tells you the truth. But I'm not going to be a participant in this lynching by electronic proxy. Or electronic lynching by proxy. I have to figure out which way that sounds best. But that's what this is all about. And I think you ought to know that. I think you ought to be careful. The worst thing that ever happened to the enemy is that I'm staying on the air. I could have been marginalized. I would have been some quiet little chief of staff walking around with no opinions, with no ability to talk to the American people, not to encourage, not to help somebody else get elected in District 20 or District 19 or District 23. I'm coming after every one of them. There are people in my community who needed a voice. I was the voice, and I will continue to be the voice. And it's going to be your biggest nightmare that I didn't go off quietly to Washington. And I'm a peace-loving person. You need to understand that I so respect the United States Constitution. I believe that we won an election because we have the greatest system on earth. Peace-loving people vote. Peace-loving people don't have revolutions. Peace-loving people don't have to take to the streets. They have the vote. And they change government through that ballot. And for people to misrepresent things that I've said in the past, I was encouraging people to vote. I will continue to encourage people to vote. And I don't have to defend any amendment or any right in the Bill of Rights. And I got to tell you, I'll share with you a comment that my son had made to me when I revealed to him that I was going to take this position and go to Washington to help, to do something for my country, to serve. You know, I keep telling everybody, go out and serve, go out and serve. So when I'm asked, how do I say no? What kind of a hypocrite would I be? But the malevolent people just can't let go. They don't understand that peace-loving people like me and you, we are very faithful to the ballot. We go out in the streets and we petition others to vote. We educate them about who candidates are. We empower people to use that ballot. That's what peace-loving people do. To portray me in the light that they're portraying me serves them. And their biggest goal is to destroy a true conservative voice that got elected in a community that was divided, in a race that nobody thought he could win. A conservative American hero pulled out a 9.5-point victory over an incumbent who threw everything at him, every vile, disgusting mailer, every commercial, sending the man's social security number out to tens of thousands of constituents in the capital of identity theft. They will stop at nothing. But we are still going to win the fight. We got him elected. He's going to Washington. He's going to do what we sent him to do. And you guys can do all the things you want to me. But I will not participate in you trying to destroy him. It's too important. I work too hard. I don't regret a minute of it. But what is happening now is I'm being told that I don't have those freedoms and that my opinions are somehow linked to his. We disagree on very many things. One of the greatest things about Congressman-elect Allen West is you can sit down and have a debate with this man. He knows his facts. If you know your facts, you will sit down and have a spirited debate with him. And sometimes he came over to my side, and sometimes I went over to his side when we were talking about controversial subjects. But to pretend that he agrees with everything I said is the disgusting, duplicitous effort to undermine his credibility. This had nothing to do with me. Meanwhile, it was very destructive to me. Meanwhile, it put me into a horrifying position with death threats, with people writing emails that ended up resulting in an entire county locking down its schools for one lunatic who doesn't even live in our community, who lives outside of our community, but decided to use this Alinsky tactic to make a very big deal. Now, you know, all I'm going to tell you is, for the last umpteen years, we've been examining how truthful the major news sources are, what these outlets are really trying to do. They have an agenda. They want to destroy conservatives. They are relentless. I had conversations yesterday with former Congressman my initials are going to J.D. Hayworth. I spoke to people who have been through this. He was a former talk host who became a congressman, then ran in the primary against John McCain for the Senate seat in Arizona. And he said to me, this is just the beginning. Congressman-elect Allen West has a huge target on him. Anybody he talks to, any place he sits, anywhere he goes, he will be under micro scrutiny. They're going to follow him around with cameras, and they're going to try to find anything that they can diminish this monumental, heroic man with. And they ain't using me. That ain't happening. Because I see through that. And this was never about me. I never campaigned for him because I had any ambition. As my son said to me when I told him I was going to go to Washington, he said, after 20 years of embarrassing me nonstop, now you're going to shut up? Because he knew as a chief of staff I could never do what I do. He knew I could change, but he thought, wow, why would you want to? You're so good at what you do. So I guess what you characters out there ended up accomplishing was you showed who you are. You showed how despicable you are and how you will go to any length to take down this great man who CD22 is sending to Washington, whether you like it or not. And unlike many of the people we've sent before him, I still believe that he will endure and he will bring a voice to that cesspool of clarity, of conviction, of patriotism. He's the best we have. And if these people think they're going to bring him down through me, they've truly shown how bankrupt they are. So that's my statement. I will not be chief of staff. I'm sure that Congressman-elect Allen West will name a chief of staff within the next couple of days. He will go to his freshman orientation on Sunday. He will spend a week in Washington, dazzling them because of his brightness, because of all the things that really bother you. Because he doesn't buy into that victimization garbage that's foisted upon so many inner city Atlanta men. He didn't buy it. He represents exactly what's right about this country. So if you think you're going to use me to bring him down, think again. Because people like me will do whatever we can to protect him, including walk away. So as I said, I spoke with Allen last night. He was reluctant. But this is too important. They may think this is a win, but the victory is ours. Because he will go to Washington, and they're just going to have to try and find another way to bring him down, and it won't work. It won't work. Keep throwing everything you got at him. You've never met anybody like this before. And apparently, you didn't know who I was either. You know, those of you who suddenly woke up one day and said, oh, she's so radical. So we'll take a break. And there you have it. You're stuck with me.